You think that's the real
everybody in that
victim?
motherfucker that coming at him with gang.
I think that's
For
just
a
a
young
random
white
guy
like myself,
that was about to
that
get
was real
released,
skinny,
and they showed
wasn't
his
working
picture
out,
up there.
wasn't real healthy and shit, been doing drugs and shit. It's not just one or two people coming at him. It's just boom, 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 boom,
The one
boom,
that's
boom,
talking,
boom. Every
he's the
5
victim.
minutes, it's just boom, boom, boom. You know,
But that
it's
guy's
constant.
picture, he's not the
They
victim.
either want you for your money or your ass won't.
Mindy and Matt were both doing hard time by the age of 19. Matt had gone from born-again Christian to Satanist, and then was invited to join the Bloods, Mark and JG's gang.
After 2 years of just every day waking up and go play basketball.
Hey, that could have looked. That's sure. You sure that wasn't hips with that tattooing right there?
I mean, it just got old. And then when
That kind of looked like hips right there with the glasses on.
And just chill with these motherfuckers, and they was cool, man. I liked them, you know. I didn't need to be in a gang. I wanted to be cool, you know what I mean? Just chill.
When Mark got transferred out of Limestone, Mindy began to take on the role of a man in charge of the boys.
Whenever they shift him, and that's whenever pretty much responsibility landed on me to make sure they're all right and to make sure nobody messes with them. You know, you got to, if you have to, die for them.
In Alabama, as in elsewhere, the boys don't really have a choice. If a man wants them, they're going to get took.
That's Eddie right there.
But there are other ways
That's
to
youngin.
get turned out. It can come from an inmate, or it can come from a prison guard. In Florida, ex-Navy medic Robbie Craig got sentenced to 8.5 years.
3 strikes and you're out. I wrote a prescription and got caught. Breaking in the window in the Jewish Community Center, passed out in the front seat of a vehicle.
Robbie was worried about getting even more time if he got into trouble. Trouble started soon after he arrived.
After your visitation, it's standard procedure for the inmate to be strip searched.
You got to do.
They know if they could get me and they could invest a little bit.
We called him young. He just trusted me, you know, with his feelings and everything.
Both of us was pretty tipsy.
I'm being whiskey
Rice.
until I might make Jim Beam sue me.
It'll get you drunk. Pretty much like free world alcohol.
They think it's Mendenhall and Eddie in the bunk, but it's not. It's David. It's Eddie and Mark. You know, that's why he's like, everybody likes him. You know, he's a good looking guy. Everybody likes him still. You know, Mark was the one and JG was the ones that making the hooch. It's Mark couldn't wait. He was anxious. You know, Mendenhall was the first one to get at Eddie. You know, and he even says that once Mark found out that he had been turned out, he couldn't wait. He was anxious. You know, he was just waiting for his time. So his time came around when they drank that Jubilee and they were in that bunk together. Right here.
We got to drinking that night. And
I got
a prison world whiskey. Make it out of
he said he wanted
Mark and Mendenhall, they did that.
I turned out.
But see, it's kind of confusing right there because he says he turned out Adi, but then Mendenhall says Adi was the first one that I ever turned out. He was the first one that I ever turned out. So who turned out who? You know?
Basically, he said he wanted someone.
That boy Eddie got Mark stuttering right there. That bus, it must have been good. He had him stuttering.
To be real with him, someone to give him attention and affection. And he seen how I treated Mindy and my other boys, and he just wanted to get in, so we did.
So we called him youngin. He just trusted me, you know, with his feelings and everything else, and whatever he thought about, you know, he felt he could talk to me.
Julep is
I got
a prison world whiskey. Make it out of yeast, orange juices, and
I'm gonna be so close to some Jim Beam whiskey
rice
until I might make Jim Beam sue me.
It'll get you drunk. Pretty much like free world alcohol. We got to drinking that night. and both of us was pretty tipsy. We just laying on the bed back there. He was at one end of the bed and I was at the other end of the bed. And he just started rubbing on my leg. Automatically, by me being pretty well drunk, I had began to become erect, you know, and I didn't have any complex about it. You know, I already liked him. He's a good looking dude. Everybody liked him. Everybody still likes him.
T, when he says everybody
Part
likes
of
him,
the
that's
family
Mark.
now.
You know,
Eddie was
who's
looked
everybody
after
giving
by
dabs on
Mark's
that
gang,
video? Everybody
especially
giving
by an
old
older,
Mark
realer
dabs.
dealer,
You know, Mark's
Jerry
the
Gaskins.
celebrity. Walking down,
JG.
everybody
I'll
chugging
make
up the
sure you
deuce,
have something to
chugging
eat
up the
every
dabs.
night. You know, I'll make sure you have
Mark's the
something
man
to
there.
smoke. I'll make sure you have some coffee. But I'm not never giving it to him directly. He's getting it from one of my boys. And for me, my boys get my boys. You know what I'm saying? They tell them the type of person I am, you know what I'm saying? The benefits that they have being with me.
Say like if a new guy came today and I just pull up on him, start talking to him, spending time with him, giving him advice, he would owe me.
Got some gas.
Like they're building predator after predator after predator. One victim. Once you become a victim, you become a predator to avoid becoming the victim again.
I'm telling you some gas. What you want to do?
JG, my righteous
Rationing
dog.
booty.
Yeah, bullshit, man. Where did all the cup at? Son, give me a cup.
It's like he's like the older brother that I never had.
You don't, hey, look, you ain't gonna just be drinking my whiskey, right? That's all you getting now.
He was the
JG loved
bad.
to get his boys hooked on whatever.
He was the phenomenon
just as
of
quick,
limestone
snatch it away.
penitentiary.
No, you ain't finna rob.
We all right, man. Ain't no robbing.
I don't know, man. JG looks kind of sick right there, man. Look at his eyes all sunken in right there.
I don't want no shit now. You want me
Like he was already playing with them boys right there. Like he was already a dead man walking right there.
When that
Probably
person might
infected already.
feel like,
Look at
you
his
know, no, it's not me
look at
or
his
whatever,
socket.
you know, then I cut him off. I cut his supply off. You know what I'm saying? Now I give him time
His
to think
cheekbones
about
were already
it. You know what I'm
sucking
saying? He
in.
was getting free dope. He was getting free whiskey. He was getting eating every night. He was smoking every night. And then he was getting free sex. Now he don't get none of that no more. And to be able to get that,
I don't know how
then
that
this
I
is
don't know
what he
how
got
that
to
works,
do.
man.
They
How
know
can
if
you
they
be a
could
blood?
get me-
I don't know.
And they could invest a little bit. The way the game goes, I owe them then.
Because, you know, I could let him go out and hang out, you know, flirt a little bit, you know, and come back with some food or come back with some cigarettes or come back with some coffee or whatever, you know what I'm saying, I need it, you know what I'm saying, to make it through the next day.
It happens all the time. They could pimp me out and make, you know, triple, you know, make more money like that than what they've invested. So for me to live clean and have what I like, I guess when I started hanging around Mark and Mendenhall, they did that.
Limestone is a place filled with men who have spent their lives searching for families. Mark, JG, Mindy, Hips, and Edie formed a family at Limestone Correctional.
Right. And that's the way we looked at it. We had a family.
After Mark had found out that I had slept with Mindy, he became anxious. He wanted to himself. Then when I was spending time with him, Mendenhall would be jealous. So it was causing turmoil in the family. That's what we were, we're a family. It was causing somebody was
Mark was
always
anxious. He
mad.
couldn't wait,
We're
man.
removed from our
Yeah, the
natural
meebie-jeebies.
families.
Yeah,
So we
butterflies
have
in the
to,
stomach.
we make bonds and friendships.
Leonard Singletary, an inmate confined to the HIV ward at
That guy's probably
Limestone,
he's
has
probably
watched
passed on away.
makeshift prison families come and go over time.
We're closer
That guy
than a
had
lot of
AIDS right
families on the
there.
street. We live
He's
together.
probably passed away by now.
We sleep together. We shower together. We use the bathroom together. Most families can at least close the door.
Now I'm dying with a broken heart, got my baby by my side. It's been hard for me without my kids in my life.
Power and lust get all twisted up together behind bars. In
He's
Alabama, Mark had gotten addicted to both.
I like power.
There goes Felicia.
Matter of fact, I love power.
There goes old Mark's boo. That's Mark's
I
boo.
love being in control.
Man,
I love to be
you can kind of see the boys.
dominant
If you
one.
look at the background, man, you can see the boys.
You know,
Look at old
and
Mark,
I've
man.
practiced that and
That's the
enforced
man of
that
the
in
hour.
every
The man of the
relationship
hour.
that I've been in prison.
Mark had an empire of boys, but he wasn't satisfied. He spotted Matt.
I had strange feelings for him, and I can remember one day, the white team lost a basketball game. So my used to be blood brother, a white guy, he took the basketball and kicked it over the fence. So when he makes this move, we had other gang members. So they wanted to do something to him, harm him, bring physical harm to him, right? So myself, as well as Mother Blood, we stepped up. Without us, they would have probably killed him, slaughtered him. He should have understood the love that myself as well as others had. When he did
That's not a
shit that
gangster's
jeopardized the
paradise.
whole
It's a
family.
All right,
paradise.
for a white guy to go in the penitentiary, it don't matter if he's fucking rock hard and 300 pounds, and it's just whoop everybody in that motherfucker that coming at him with game. For a
Shit,
young white guy
Police
like
said he had a
myself,
log
that
up
real
in him at one
skinny,
time.
wasn't working out and
A
wasn't real
tree
healthy
log.
and shit, been doing drugs and shit. It's not just one or two people coming at him. It's just boom, 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 boom. Every 5 minutes, it's just boom, boom, boom. You know, it's constant.
They either want you for your money or your ass won.
Mindy and Matt were both doing hard time by the age of 19. Matt had gone from born-again Christian to Satanist, and then was invited to join the Bloods,
Is that
Mark
him?
and JG's gang.
Tattooing right there?
After 2 years, just every day waking up, go play basketball, then go play baseball, and then go to the chapel and go here and go there. I mean, it just got old. And then when I joined that gang, I could go over here.
Now they
and
call
just
them out of
deal with these
staters, man.
motherfuckers.
Out of staters.
Cool, man. I liked them, you know. I didn't need to be in a gang. I wanted to be cool, you know what I mean? Just chill.
When Mark got transferred out of Limestone, Mindy began to take on the role of a man in charge of the boys.
Whenever they shipped him, and that's whenever
Mark got
pretty
shipped
much
like 2 times.
responsibility landed on me to make sure they're all right and to make sure nobody messes
You can hear him.
with them.
I'm gonna fast forward.
You
I'm
have
gonna look
to-
for it right now where he says
if you
Mark
have
gets
to
shipped
die
again
for 'em.
from
In
Limestone.
Alabama, as in elsewhere, the boys don't really have a choice. If a man wants them, they're gonna get took.
That's
But
Eddie
there
right
are
there.
other ways to get turned out. It can come from an inmate, or it can come from a prison guard. In Florida, ex-Navy medic Robbie Craig got sentenced to 8.5 years.
3 strikes and you're out. I wrote a prescription and got caught. Breaking the window in the Jewish Community Center, passed out in the front seat of a vehicle.
Robbie was worried about getting even more time if he got into trouble. Trouble started soon after he arrived.
After your visitation, it's standard procedure for the inmate to be strip searched. And there was a sergeant that was in charge of the visiting park this day, Sergeant Anderson. And after my visit was over with, we go into what we call a shakedown room. It's a small room about 6 foot by 8 foot. Turn around, spread your cheeks, and bend over and cough. And what I did, Sergeant Anderson made a throaty noise like this, and
Mark
he
loves them pills. He says he still pops
masturbated
Xanax.
from inside the control room.
He still
at
pop
me.
2-3 Xanax a day. And
And,
man, them Xanax make you go crazy.
Sergeant Anderson didn't stop there. He used blackmail to get what he wanted.
I was ordered to go to the front gate to put some Visqueen, which is plastic, over some cabinet shop material that was outside and was going to be in the weather. And I was in the cabinet shop, and I'm really caught up in my work, and I'm really working, and things are coming together, and I'm putting some stuff together, and I'm not even thinking. And all of a sudden, keys jingling, and I heard what sounded like a zipper. And
Sergeant Anderson
I came
was
up, I had the staple
cream
gun in my
pie in the
hand, I
boy's
turned
face.
around, and Sergeant Anderson had
Giving them dudes facials.
exposed himself. And he was standing there, and he looks at me and he tells me to lick it. That's his exact words. And I told him, I said, my words were, Sarge, I'm not about that. I've never done nothing like that. And
About
I started
the
pleading with
Xanax?
him. As he
Oh, one of his
advanced
lines.
towards me, he was only about 3 feet away. As he was coming towards me,
On one of his lives, he says
lifted
he
one of
takes
his
2 to
arms,
3.
right or left, I can't remember.
I
but
don't
he
know if he's prescribed them
put
or
his
if he
hand
gets them off the market.
on my head,
But he said it himself.
and he tells me to lick it. And he's using an authoritative tone.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
different
He
than if
said
he
it
was
himself.
telling me to pick up a cigarette butt.
Yeah,
or
well,
to make my
I put
bed,
that on
or
everything. I
go
wouldn't
to
I
chow.
wouldn't
It
make
was,
stuff on no Paul Mark.
he was
And he
ordering
also
me
said that he used to like taking
to
them
lick it.
cereal quills, making
And
himself a cup of up
anyway,
when
he
he was locked up.
he
I'm gonna look for the videos.
forced my head down there, and he had his other hand down there, and he
Yeah, it was on one of the lives,
ejaculated
on one of
on
the
my
panels.
face, my mouth, and he told me, go put the Visqueen out. I left the tool room and I just started working on the Visqueen. If I were placed in this same situation in what we refer to as the free world, I could have simply walked away. Or if he would have gone to place his hands on me, I could have defended myself. I could have broke his jaw. All this was going through my mind. I mean, thoughts just went, I mean,
Yeah,
something like that happened,
I'm gonna read them to you right now. I told you.
it's just there, and it's all of a sudden it's not
I'm just
happening
outside,
like
man.
you
Once I go
thought
back
it
in,
would
I'm
happen in
gonna read
prison.
them to you.
Another inmate, you know, to where you could, defend yourself or go down fighting or go down, or die. That's what you tell yourself is nobody's ever going to do that. But when it's somebody standing in a uniform and all you see is sergeant stripes and a whistle hanging there and an ID and these are the people that run your life. I didn't know what to do. So only thing I kept thinking was another 15 years. If I hurt this man, I'm going to be in prison for another 15 years. Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's ever going to believe this. If he's capable of doing something like that, he could pull drugs out of his pocket and said, look what I found on you, ripped his shirt and said, you just assaulted me. My work squad sergeant, Sergeant McLemore, who I had a great deal of respect for. He was my drill instructor, father, all in one. And Sergeant McLemore told me, he says, we're going to get that SOB. He says, I believe you. He says, I knew something wasn't right about him. I knew there was something there. I'm going to get him. Don't you worry about it. I'm going to get him. And as soon as I knew Sergeant McLemore was in my corner, I felt a great weight lifted from me. But I can't tell him exactly what's happening. It's like be sitting down like telling my father that, something like this has happened. You just can't tell him.
Come stir my memory again.
Mindy's father, David Mendenhall Sr., was a trucker and a guitar player.
Show help me remember all the good times. Help me forget all this pain. Come stir my memory again.
Yeah, he sings pretty good, man.
I was usually home 2 days out of the week. And of course, a big part of that, I was catching up on some sleep. Yeah, you might as well say I really wasn't there, but I didn't study on it as to what effects it was having.
Mindy's grandmother helped raise him. She brought him into the ways of the Holiness Church.
Yeah, these 50-pound bags, David Jr. not here to do them for me, so I have to get them hauled back here. I have to keep my feet clean. Here, chicky.
Ardith agonized over what to do when her grandson first went to prison.
There we go. And he was afraid to go to the authorities because they had threatened him. And he didn't know what to do, so he called me. He was nearly to a nervous breakdown, and he wasn't able to eat and keep it on his stomach. And he'd had a homosexuals there and so forth. I called a lieutenant immediately and then moved David to a cell to himself.
And many nights I remember walking back to my dorm after they cleared the count. And I'd cry on the way, asking myself, how would I get into this? And sometimes I'd ask God, how could this happen? Because it's something at the time I didn't understand at all.
And I believe that today that we have taken out this service here to ask God to help our brother David Mendenhall, who has been in trouble and served. How many years has he served?
It's going on 6 years.
We don't know, we don't judge. But how many of you know probably that's enough time? How many of you know that God knows how to deliver? God knows how to set people free. God, then you know how to deliver David Mendenhall. God, we pray for him, Jesus. God, you would help him.
You feel it clear through your core. And those kind of experiences, being pimped out and the homosexual activity and such as that he's had to deal with in there, I honestly, sincerely hope it's something that he's just had to adapt to that will go away on its own, that he doesn't enjoy, that when he gets out, he can put behind him, not have to talk about it or bring it up.
Sure would be nice to have David Jr. home by myself and not as young as he used to be. And had everything the baby could possibly want. The church and all gave him a beautiful shower. And everything seemed to be going great. But he would just work to death. He says, Grandmother, he hardly knew what happened because he was half awake and all. But he bumped himself, and kind of lost his balance. He threw the baby back on the bed. They brought it against him as murder. First manslaughter, and then they called it murder.
If he's learning things that he should be learning from some of these prison daddies or whatever, wonderful. I hope the things he's learning in there that a person doesn't need to know, he forgets or doesn't take to heart.
BPS is on her stomach, standing for Black Peace Stone, and she's holding a dope sack over here on this side of her arm. My partner Mark, and that's my partner Silk. On this side here, you have my mother Betty, my sister Brenda, my grandmother Alberta, and my nephew Lai.
9, 10. Relax.
JG, Mark's partner, got busted for burglary. JG was born in Pleasant City, a dangerous slum in the heart of West Palm Beach.
I grew up in a family of 9 brothers and 4 sisters. My father, he left, when I was like.
All right, God Soldier. You wanted me to read the messages. All right. I reached out to Charles Hips Saturday, November 30th. Okay. So I texted him. He didn't reply. He didn't reply back till December 1st. I texted him. I said, I have a business opportunity. He goes, okay, I'll bite. What you got? I said, I am pretty sure you know what's going on YouTube. Your name is ringing names in the YouTube world. And at that time, everybody was looking for hips. Everybody was like, oh, I think I got the real hips, the real Mendenhall. This is when everything was playing around, when everybody was saying, I got the hips. I have hips. I already have, this other platform was saying at the time that they had already had recorded videos with the so-called hips and Mendenhall. Okay, so at that time, Hips' name was ringing bells. Oh, hips, we found hips. We found hips. Okay. And then he goes, whose names and why and what is this business opportunity about? I told him, I said, look, I have a small YouTube channel called Welcome to Texas Podcast. And I told him, I can help you create your own channel and help you get monetized your content, which that was the whole plan. That we were going to tell some stories on my channel, help him create his channel. That way he can grow it and monetize it, and that channel will be completely his, 100%. I wasn't going to take no cut out of his channel. I wasn't going to say, oh, I'm going to manage you. I'm going to be your manager. Sign this contract, sign this or that. No, it was just a simple look. I'm gonna help you out. You help me out with your stories. I help you out with creating your channel, and hopefully you can get monetized. And whatever you want to post on that channel, that's all you. That was the agreement that we had. Okay. And he replies, "Okay, what's up? I'm about making some money." And then I told him, "So whatever you make off your channel, it's 100% yours." You know, basically, once he got his channel up and going, that channel that was going to be his. I wasn't gonna control or say he was gonna have all the password and access to that channel. That was gonna be his channel, not mine. He replies, "Okay, never done this. What do I do?" And I tell him, first create an email. You know, that way he can get an email to create the YouTube and a YouTube studio. You know, and don't give nobody this password, you know. And then I told him, I can pay you $25 for an interview. And he goes, "Okay." And then I'm telling him, send me Cash App or Zelle. But then I told him, I just need to verify it's you. Do you know Lamarck Moore? Because by all this time, I hadn't even verified that he really was the real Hips. So I asked him. I told him it's a hard subject, but people are making that is not fair. That's why I reached out to you. You should be making some money as well. So then for after he sent okay, I kept on sending him messages. I keep on telling him, I said, there's only a handful of people that know the story. I have checked for David Mendenhall, but it seems like he has passed away. I have not been able to find anybody else. I told him the moment is now. Your name is riding a wave of interest, but waves can go back down. So we need to start as soon as possible, you know, put your story out there because people are looking for Hips. So I texted him December 30th. He didn't reply back till December 2nd. He goes, "Morning, brother. On my way to work." Okay, hold on. Okay. Then after the second, I lose contact with him. He goes, let's do it. I will send you the link. We're going to watch the documentary. That was one of the first videos. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on that video that I have deleted from my life. You know, so he's already telling me that there's already a lot of stuff in that documentary that he's trying to forget. That it's a part of his life that he's trying to forget. That he done moved on. He done moved. Sorry about that. He done moved on. And he goes, "I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on that video that I have deleted from my life. But yeah, fuck it. Let's do it." So at first he was real hesitant of wanting to do the videos. You know, he didn't want to, you know, put his business out there of what he did. So for a few days, he goes MIA, and December 4th, he replies, "You want to know the truth about that documentary tonight? I will tell you how Mark Moore, you know, raped, tortured white boys and beat them up and extorted their family. I will tell you all of it. I was raped, Mendenhall was raped, and asked around and sold." You know, this is the first this is one of the first messages that he's sending to me that something actually happened to him. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. give me 1 second real quick. No, puppy. No. He goes, when he says, you want to know the truth about the documentary tonight, I will tell you how. He told me this December the 3rd. When he was telling me all this stuff, that's why, people were like, oh man, you're overreacting. You're overreacting. How are you attacking Mark? Why are you attacking Mark? Because I have this one guy telling me all these messages, and I asked him about a certain people. I'm not going to put that person's name out there because I don't want to open up another can of worms, and we're not even closing up Mark's. You know what I mean? I don't like opening up too many battlefields at one time, because then you will never know where you're going to get hit from. So it's better just to keep it, keep one battlefield open. There's no point in me opening up battlefields, trying to expose too many at one time. The way I see it's going to play out by itself. So I'm not really going to name the person that he names in his next message. He goes, there ain't been one of those in Alabama since the 80s. I'm gonna leave it at that. He's basically saying that this organization hasn't been in there since the 80s. I don't know Alabama. I don't know what organizations have been there and whatnot. And I said, what is he? I said, do you know him? And then he replies, I'm going to reveal some shit to you about the Mark Moore that will blow your fucking mind. I see he's putting all that bullshit on me. He is a fucking liar. And he is a fuck boy. I know he sucked my piece. These are messages that he's sending to me. Before we do any interview, before we've done any interview, these are messages that he's sending to me. And I'm reading these messages before any interview. So where people were like getting mad at me, like, why are you jumping on Mark like that? Why are you jumping on Mark like that? Because at the time I was receiving all these messages from Hips, and I had already read these messages. So if somebody that's reading these messages, your impression would be like, damn, this dude was really going through some shit. If he's telling you all this, and this is before any money had even been exchanged. No, nothing had been negotiated. This is just him telling me. And let me see. And the next message is, there are things I want to let go, but I ain't no fucked up dude. I don't like my name slandered, especially by a boy like Mark Moore. Mark has got everyone fooled like he was some kind of OG. That bitch preyed on white boys and let a white boy pluck him in his orifice just because he wanted to be with him. See, that's the shit that goes on behind closed doors that nobody knows about. So I'm getting all these messages from him, and these are messages that we haven't even exchanged a prize. We hadn't even done a video. This is just text messages. Me and him are going back and forth. These are back and forth messages. So when people were like, hey, why did you jump on Mark so quick? I'm like, man, cause shit, I guess I shouldn't have. I should have just kept my mouth quiet. But at the same time, man, I felt some type of way. I see this dude telling me all this stuff is occurring, and I'm like, this guy's on the internet saying it's not happening. So I felt like, man, that's why I shouldn't have gone too hard on him in the beginning. But when you hear stuff like this and you're like, man, and I'm like, okay, man, I know. And I told him, let me talk. Sorry about that. My little, sorry about that. And I told him, I said, let me talk to my manager, because he was asking about some outrageous prices. you know. So I'm like, let me talk to my so-called manager, and I'll let you know. And I asked him about somebody. He goes, he tells me about this other person, but I'm not going to put him out there. And I asked him about Itty. I said, but what about Youngin and Itty? And this is December 3rd. He goes, I don't even know who the fuck that is. And I'm asking him who Youngin and Itty is. And I asked him, when do you have time? We do the first, I think we did the first interview because not even there. And then I asked him, I said, were you able to locate the VHS tape? But when do you have time? Just be patient. I am trying to source your story. A publisher is interested in your story. And he goes, I've got my mama trying to find the tape. She has it stored somewhere. It is here, throat. As soon as she finds it, you will have it. And I replied to him. I said, okay, I'm looking for a publication company, you know. And I told him, I said, oh, PTSD sucks. I suffer from it, you know, because PTSD sucks. You know, I've been classified as a antidepressant with psychotic issues. You know, so that means I play with my life every now and then, basically. So I'm not scared of dying. You know, if I'm willing to harm my own self, I'm willing to harm the next man, basically. So, you know, they want me to be taking medication and stuff, you know, for antidepressant psychotic issues. That means you know, they want me to be taking psych medications. You know, I don't like taking psych medications. But that's all due to the effects of being on the streets, you know, doing stuff. When these soldiers go to war and they start seeing blood and gore and they start doing stuff that they don't want to just to be able to survive, I mean, it fucks with people's minds, you know. When you have to shoot at people, when you have to do certain stuff that when you think about it, it was pointless to be doing. But at the time, when you're, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18, those are just games. But now that you're older and, you know, you have kids and you have grandkids, you're like, man, fuck, you know, you were doing some wild shit. It is what it is. And then he goes, but you know something? I stay focused on positivity now. My old lady, my family, my work. I've been out 6 years now, making great money, doing great. But I want this video stuff for the rest because there's a lot of stuff out there that people need to know the truth about them guys. You're telling and filling your head up with a bunch of lies. So he's saying that all these people. No, papi.